Me?
Yeah.
Metaphorically or physically?
I don't know either.
Well, I think history records we've had our moments. But I would like to think that I took my medicine like a man.
We are not suggesting that Gordon Brown is a bully. What we are saying is staff in his office, working directly with him, have issues and have concerns and have contacted our helpline. And we believe that the present statement that Mandelson and others are putting out, categorically denying that it is occurring, is a nonsense and it is non-credible.
Thank you for your confidence in Britain, which I believe we will repay. And thank you for your support for Britain, which we will return. Thank you very much.
250, 270 overseas visitors here for it, and all the journalists want to talk about are the allegations of bullying.
Do you find that the closer you get to the election, you're just putting out fires? I mean,
we're also creating fires. You know, you put out some, you create others. That is the whole game plan. Sometimes you get burned, and sometimes you see others getting burned. That's life. It's going to be like that for the next 2 or 3 months.
Do you quite like that?
Well, it's something to get up in the morning for, isn't it?
Andrew, that was great. That's great, and what you said, Peter. I know you've got
Having part of the conversation.
I'm not going to answer questions about bullying in the press conference, but I do interview doctors. I have to know from exactly what are the sort of facts, assumptions out there.
Well, I must say I think this whole affair is starting to acquire a slight odour.
Are you saying that this woman's accusations were entirely politically motivated?
But what are the accusations? She said on radio, I heard her, that she wasn't actually making any allegations or claims about the Prime Minister personally.
Businesses have to take bullying seriously, and this is what she says was one of her criticism. Why wasn't there any investigation taking place rather than just an outright denial?
Investigation of what?
Or of allegations of bullying.
Which allegations?
Or allegations of the Prime Minister.
Which allegations?
Hitting out at people, pulling them out of their chairs, you know, these kind of things.
Now, I've said to you before, nobody tolerates bullying in this government or in any part of this government. Period. Zero. And that's it. Okay?
So, Peter, do you think you put out the bullying fire?
No, I think it's got a little way to rage yet, because it's perfectly clear to me that this isn't just somebody with a book to sell. It's a political thing. And, you know, our political opponents are out there stirring like mad, trying to find people to throw fuel on the fire.
But given that we know he gets into terrible rages, and everybody knows that, so how do you...
He doesn't get into terrible rages. I think that, look...
I heard him on the phone to you getting cross.
Is that a rage?
How do you define rage?
He's a rage, not bullying me. He's just sort of saying to me, hear my pain.
It is amazing, isn't it, that every time there's a kind of crisis, you see Peter, you don't see anybody else, do you?
Well, Peter is the best command of language, and he is the best command of... He can see the pitfalls, while sometimes getting carried away. But, you know, a forceful language today might be tomorrow's trap. I think yesterday wasn't bad, but I think Peter went too far
in defending the regime in Number 10, and I think possibly damaged his own standing a little bit in the process. People know it isn't black and white, and I think that diminished his credibility ever so slightly. Andrew Gibson in the Telegraph is a very funny description of the way Peter dealt with this yesterday. He says here, Lord Mandelson was accordingly deployed to administer the lethal put-down to the head of the National Bullying Helpline. The thinner the ice, the more gracefully Lord Mandelson glides across it. He is the man who loves danger, never happier than when sweeping with the elegance of an Olympic figure skater to the rescue of his accident-prone chief. Almost constant crisis has made Lord Mandelson indispensable. He has become Mr. Brown's full-time carer, the one person who knows how to keep the ailing leader alive.
None of his policies stand up, and that's why there is never any substance from the Leader of the Opposition.
It was this Prime Minister who put character at the heart of the election. It was this Prime Minister who says, judge us on his moral compass. Why is it the moral compass always points at someone else rather than him? This is a verbatim eyewitness account from one of the journalists. Listen to this. Brown's point man turned to the journalist and started laying in...
Order. If honourable and right honourable members do not stop shouting, I may have to ring some sort of helpline myself. Or worse still, suspend the sitting. It makes an extremely bad impression, this sort of noise and ranting, on the British public. I appeal to the House to have some regard for the way in which we are viewed by the electorate. The House will hear the Leader of the Opposition.
Peter, are you prepared to do the world tonight?
Hi Theo. Hi, we're just doing a kind of last minute thing. We're doing Channel 4 News, but we're up against Ken Clark. Is there anything that the Tories are saying this morning that's new that we need to know about?
It's got to go. You can't
Didn't say any of that.
Well, yes, you did.
You've all been quoted different versions of what I've said.
What are you saying?
I have said that your position is that you are increasing public spending,
and we've got to tackle it.
Over 30. That's right.
But how will you tackle it?
By freezing the salaries of all public sectors.
We're doing that. We're doing that.
I notice your words very...
Hang on. There's a degree of pantomime. There's a degree of pantomime creeping in of oh yes you will, oh no you won't. So
by tomorrow you may say it, Peter, but you haven't said it yet.
But what you also know, because you're a wonderful ex-chance, as you keep reminding us, living and trading on your past,
unlike you, Peter, I have a past that I can live.
I did not lie, I did not deceive, and I did not set out to mislead.
He was forced out of office not once, but twice. The first time was when a fellow minister admitted lending him a large sum for a London home. The secret deal with Geoffrey Robinson hadn't been declared. Mr. Mandelson resigned again after being brought back as Northern Ireland Secretary. This time, it was a row over his role in a passport application for a rich Indian businessman.
The Prime Minister called Mr. Mandelson 3 times on the eve of his resignation, but clearly wasn't satisfied with the answers he received. Yet today he's exonerated, and Downing Street say he's left without a stain on his character. cold comfort for the man learning to live without his cabinet career.
I do believe him to be a person of immense ability and indeed integrity. And I do say to people right at the very beginning, I said this was a tragic case. And I said that I believed he would be cleared of any impropriety, and I'm very pleased for his sake that he has been, and I hope he's able now to get on and rebuild his life, because he is someone of great ability with a lot to give.
It seemed very brutal by Tony Blair.
And? I mean, it seemed lots of things, and as Tony said on a number of occasions after, if he had known then at the time what he learned subsequently, he would have never have taken the decision.
The Prime Minister has spoken for the entire government, and I don't need to add to that.
I wish that Alistair Campbell had not sort of given him the advice or interpreted the events in a way that led to the conclusion that I should go. I mean, there are some who I've sort of renewed my friendship with. There are others who I will never be a friend of, but who I will just coexist with and work with in government and in politics, because I have to.
I was reading, as I'm sure you have, Alistair Campbell's new diaries. Actually,
I haven't read the original ones, no.
But
And I haven't got the new ones.
He spent so much time arguing. I mean, he paints a picture of it's almost like kind of Grange Hill meets, I don't know, Lord of the Flies, with everyone fighting and crying and slamming doors, and I mean, it's amazing that you managed to do anything.
Well, it wasn't really like that, or it wasn't all like that. But look, politics, you've got to understand, is a very passionate business, and you have very inspired, very driven people who are not just fighting for their place, they're fighting for their view or their opinion and their outlook. It's what's called creative tension.
Creative tension. Over the Robinson thing, it was Gordon and Gordon's camp who set you up. It wasn't to do with Tony. Is that absolute rubbish?
I mean, to be perfectly frank, it doesn't really interest me to go into it. I mean, what happened, happened. It's a long time ago. A lot of water's flowed under the bridge. And for me, it's a closed door.
How do you, as a person and as a politician, then incorporate what you know has happened to you into your present?
Well, that's a very interesting question, but you just have to live with it. You have to rise above it. My closeness to Tony Blair was my Achilles heel. Rather than my great strength and saviour, the fact that I was so close to him made him more brutal in his handling of me and dealing with me. I think I was a very good lightning conductor for him. Having me stuck up there on his shoulder meant the lightning oftentimes and the flak was attracted to me rather than to him.
But I think that's one of the things that he's rather good at, though.
Yeah, he's a very effective politician. That's what's made him so successful.
I know, but
why I love him so much.
I know. So why do you love him so much, actually? Let's be honest. Why do you love him so much?
Because I think he's... First of all, he's a genuinely very nice person. He has a nice personality and a good character. Secondly, his views, his political outlook was pure New Labour, and so was and remains mine. And thirdly, because he was a very